Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Happy Irish, and in today's video I will be sharing with you my Australian visa journey. Just to clarify, I am not an immigration agent. I'm just telling you what my experiences are with regards to the partner visa application process and what we did and all of that stuff. So if you want to know more about it, I would 100% do my own research. And if you're confused about the specific requirement, you can definitely consult a migration agent like what we did, because we were not sure of what to do. You can definitely seek legal advice, and I would highly recommend doing that as well. So basically, I first got here in Australia back in September of 2015, and that was my very first visit here in Australia. I visited my partner on a tourist visa, and then at that time, because my sole purpose of being here is just to visit, I was just purely on holiday here in Australia. Before I went back to the Philippines, we decided to talk to a migration agent. So we consulted with a migration lawyer. And during that consultation, she provided us some options. Applying for a partner visa is not that cheap. It's actually expensive. It's not an easy application process. It's actually it does involve commitment as well on both parties. It's not just your partner or your boyfriend or your fiance, but it does involve commitment from both sides. So you as well, because you going to a new country, living with your partner or your boyfriend or your fiance, it's not that easy to just leave behind your home country and move to a new country, right? If you know what I mean. It will take you adjustment period and being adaptable to the change. So it's not an easy move. It's always going to be a life-changing move if you're intending to move to a different country to be with your other half or with your loved one. One of which is being able to register the relationship. That's what happened on my first visit here. I did enjoy being on tourist visa on my first visit. We went and see some cool landmark Australia, like we visited the Great Ocean Road, the 12 Apostles in Victoria. Did a lot of touristy stuff basically in the first 3 months that I was here. We decided to have a relationship registered here in the ACT. So each and every individual states have their own relationship registration process. After that, I went back to the Philippines, and then eventually I moved here in Australia in June of 2016. I was literally 6 months from the time that I visited Australia. Called our migration agent and then updated her that we are actually looking into applying for a partner visa. So we started to gather the documents. So all of the documents needed for the application is just actually available on the website. 3 months later, we decided to apply for a partner visa onshore, and they call it actually the partner visa subclass 820/801. So it's a two-step application process for partner visa here in Australia. There are other types of spouse visa or fiance visa. I'm not going to talk about those because I'm not 100% sure what they are. I'm not familiar with the process, so it's best that you do your own research like what I've said. And I'm only going to share about the partner 820/801 because that's what we did on our application. So we submitted our partner visa application under de facto. De facto relationship is actually, it's a type of relationship wherein you as a couple are living together on a genuine domestic basis. So you're living together in one roof. So here in Australia, de facto relationships are quite common, and they do accept it as another form of relationship. The role of your migration agent is to put the best application forward. That way you can get an approval for your application. When you're submitting your application, you want to make sure that you submit all of the documents, and the more documents that you can submit, the better actually. So all of the lists of the supporting documents, you can check that out of the immigration website. There's a full list there. Everything that you would need regarding the application would be on the immigration website. To submit those in one go prior to us lodging the application with the guidance of our migration agent, of course. And then we have to wait 15 months for that first stage to come through. Within that 15 months, you're more than welcome to submit any additional documents that you would be able to gain prior to you getting an approval. So you can still keep on submitting documents after even you lodge your application. I think the main difference between submitting an application here in Australia, I'm not sure with other countries, but here in Australia, is that they don't really require you to go on face-to-face interview. I haven't met anyone who have done a face-to-face interview as part of their application process for the partner visa. It's mostly done through paperwork. So that's why it's very crucial and it's very essential that you submit all of the required supporting documents that you can while you are still in that application stage. The other thing is all of your documents have correct details, up-to-date details, especially all of your history of the relationship, the timeline of the relationship, everything should be in there. You want to make sure that when you submit your application, you actually have a timeline of your relationship, and you want to include in that timeline like any specific milestones. We've got the approval a year and 3 months later, so we received the approval November 17. So the migration agent emailed us saying that the first stage of the partner visa has been approved, and that was we were very happy at that time. I was already working at that time because I started working like 2 months from the time that I gained my bridging visa. So while you are waiting for your partner visa to be approved, you'll be on a bridging visa, and while you're on bridging visa, you do have work rights, unlimited work rights, and you will also be able to get Medicare. So in case something, if you get sick, so you have those benefits. When it comes to work rights, you have full working hours, so you can work part-time, you can work full-time, it doesn't matter, you have full working right. And then once you get the approval for the partner visa, you will still be on a visa, but you'll no longer be on a bridging visa, but you same benefits. While you're on bridging visa, you still have your Medicare. You can, at this time, you can go outside of the country, so you can fly outside of Australia, go to Philippines, visit other countries, and you don't require any visas to come back here in Australia, so you can go in and out at the same time. That's all good. You're good to go, and you don't need any other visas to come back here. But while you are on a bridging visa, while you're waiting for your partner visa to be approved, you would need another visa to come back here in Australia. Will it a bridging visa be? It's just basically letting you know that you're actually going outside of Australia, and that way you have visa to come back. Once you come back here in Australia, you would still have the same bridging visa benefits as you have. The timeline period between you lodging your partner visa application all the way through the approval, which is the 2-stage process, could take approximately 3 to 4 years. There are times wherein you get an approval earlier on, but I would say expect around 3 to 4 years. Yes, it's not that easy. It is not that easy, and it is time consuming, but it will all go as well as long as you provided all of the supporting documents correct, and if you were able to submit it within the given time frames, you should be good to go. Prior to you getting your Australian permanent residency, you will need to do a police check and a medical exam. Once you've lodged your application, after a year, you will receive a notification saying that you need to do a medical check, just basically an x-ray, a blood test and all of that, and a police check. So once you've done that, then you should be able to receive another notification from the immigration or from Home Affairs telling you on what's the next stage of your application. They would communicate with you if you missed some documents, if they needed additional documents, or if they wanted you to go for an interview. I just did not experience any of those. Once your partner visa is approved, you'll be on temporary residency. I did tell you this already, but you'll be on temporary permanent residency, and that's a time that you can just go in and out of the country. You don't need any visas at all when you come back, but you're still technically a citizen of the country that you came from. So you will still use your passport from that country that you came from, and all that stuff will still be in the same place, or it's still gonna be the same. Now, once you've reached the decision for your second stage, which is the 801. I have reached that we've waited 21 months from the time that my partner visa was approved. We have waited 21 months to get my permanent residency. So that can take a little bit of time. That's the longest time actually that I have waited. Then I received my permanent residency approval August of 2019, so that's last year. And then once you are on an Australian permanent residency, it's still the same benefits as what you have had with your temporary residency and while you're on bridging visa. It's just that if you're a permanent resident here, you have more like privilege. It's more of a privilege, I would say. There are certain job requirements that does not hire people who are on visa. So that's the main thing about Australian permanent residency. They would at least require you to be an Australian citizen, or if not on permanent residency. So there are a couple of things that you can do being on Australian permanent residency versus being on visa. So once you are out of the visa, you have more, like, it's more stable and kind of thing, but it should not affect your job and all that stuff. There's still a lot of employers who would employ people who are on visa. That should not be an issue. Just check the qualifications before you submit your job application.